In this video, we're going to be looking at dividing fractions and mixed numbers. Before we jump into a problem, we have to talk about what is a reciprocal. Reciprocals are pairs of numbers. When you multiply them together, their product is 1. So let me give you an example. If you have the number 3 and you multiply it by 1/3, so their product, the answer when you're multiplying two numbers together. Well, 3 is the same as 3 over 1. So for multiplication, we multiply the tops. 3 times 1 is 3. And then 1 times 3 is 3. 3 over 3, that simplifies to 1. So a reciprocal, or a pair of reciprocals, are two numbers. So in this case, 3 and 1/3. And their product, so when you multiply them, you get 1. So let's look at another example. If we had the fraction 2/3 and we multiplied it by 3/2, 2 times 3, 6. 3 times 2, 6. 6 divided by 6, 1. So these are reciprocals. And what you might notice, and you might have noticed it back here with this first example, is this first fraction's numerator is the second fraction's denominator. And the first fraction's denominator is the second fraction's numerator. So what you've done in order to find a reciprocal is you flip the fraction. So let's try another example. We're given the fraction 5/8. And we're asked, what is its reciprocal? So its reciprocal is 8/5. And you can check to see if they're reciprocals because when you multiply them together, you should get 1. What about 5 and 3/5? So this is a mixed number. What you want to do first is convert it into an improper fraction. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 3 is 28, over the original denominator, 5. Now we haven't figured out the reciprocal yet. We've just changed our mixed number to an improper fraction. So to get the reciprocal, you have to flip your fraction. Our reciprocal would be 5 over 28. Let's try one more example. If you had the decimal number 0.25. We want to know, what is that reciprocal? Well, 0.25 is 25 over 100. And we know that simplifies to 1/4. So the reciprocal would be 4 over 1. Or since the denominator is 1, you could simply say that the reciprocal is 4. So this becomes relevant when we are dividing fractions, because if you are dividing a fraction by another fraction, that is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So I'm going to change the sign from division to multiplication, and when I do that, I'm going to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So 6 divided by 7 times 21 over 13. 21 over 13, I can break that down into 3 times 7. 13, I can't break that down. 7's cancel. We get 18 over 13. But this is an improper fraction. We want to report this as a mixed number. 13 goes into 18 one time with 5 left over. So our answer is 1 and 5/13. Let's try one more example. So this is a complex fraction. We have a fraction, 24, divided by 5 1/3, and then within this fraction, we have another fraction. However, whenever we're dealing with a fraction, all that means is division. So we could rewrite this as 24 divided by 5 1/3. Next, I would convert my mixed number into an improper fraction. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, divided by 3. Whenever you have a whole number, you can always put it over 1 if you want to make it into a fraction. So we have two fractions we're dividing by one another, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal of the second. We can simplify 24 into 3 times 8. We can simplify 16 into 2 times 8. The 8's cancel. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 2 is 2. Again, this is an improper fraction. We want to convert it to a mixed number to report our answer. 2 goes into 9 4 times, and there's 1 left over, and our denominator is 2. So our answer would be 4 1/2.